The film opens on a two-lane road, where two buses full of females are traveling. While the girls are having fun, one of them secretly writes poetry. The students start a pillow battle, and Mitsuki, the lyrical girl, drops her pen. She goes down to pick it up as something severely cuts the bus in half, including the students. Teachers and buses, hard iron physique Mitsuki is splashed in blood and stunned to watch the horrible occurrence that has just occurred. The bus comes to a standstill on the third, with the students' half-cut bodies still spewing out blood. Meanwhile, a tremendous gust of air rushes at Mitsuki, but she avoids it. We didn't realize there was anything in the wind that was so harsh and biting. It's slicing everything off. I was stunned to death. The schoolgirl flees the bus and watches the devastation caused by the other bus. She rushes away after stepping through the sliced remnants. The wind continues to strike her during her sprint, but she manages to evade every time a few meters ahead. Despite Mitsuki's efforts to save them, several visitors are also sliced in two. Furthermore, several bikers, Patrick and each of them, end up as a carcass in her. Mitsuki stumbles to a corpse-filled creek, cleans off the blood, changes into a new outfit, and resumes her race. After crossing the field, she reaches the grounds of a high school, where the girls greet her. A girl called Aki grabs her hand and welcomes her as if they're old friends. Mitsuki is perplexed as Aoki and the other girls treat her like a long-lost relative. Trend. When the wind starts to blow, Mitsuki begins to shudder and becomes terrified. They wake up and go to the school building where the wind blows again. Perplexed and afraid, Mitsuki goes inside up in the class, and Ochi gets to ask her what's upsetting her. Still dazed, Mitsuki describes the bush slaughter through tears, and Aki listens calmly as Mitsuki continues to say it may have been a horrifying nightmare. Outside, a burst of wind is blowing, and tears are streaming down her face. Riddles the trees, and Aki forcibly opens the window, allowing Mitsuki to smell the safe ale. Mitsuki eventually relaxes down as nothing occurs. Aki then volunteers to skip the lesson, and they head to the other classrooms, where they encounter Tako. Mitsuki thinks she's cute. Meanwhile, the spotlight moves to another student dubbed Sir, who earned the moniker due to her bizarre appearance. After a brief introduction, the four of them flee the classroom before their teacher catches them. She tries to question Mitsuki about their plan, but the girls avoid her and flee outside. Liberty and freedom surround them as they run freely across the fields and into the woods. Aki grabs Mitsuki's hand as they make their way to the lake's walkway, where they will relax and enjoy the calm and serenity. Aki told others about Mitsuki's nightmare. The three of them chuckle, but Sir observes that it's feasible with that. She describes parallel universes and how they may change reality. She throws a stone into the lake and instructs them to watch the ripples as they get closer to the edge. A massive alligator appears out of nowhere and attacks Faraz. The beast clearly rushes at Tako and bites between her legs. Her cries reverberate across the woods until they all snap out of it. And Sir observes such a thing. This can also happen later. They come over two pillows on the ground and begin playing with them. Feathers flutter around, missing the mysterious sight. Mitsuki discovers a blood splatter on her finger. Her gaze is drawn to a bride and her girlfriend. Standing on an edge in the meantime, the girls enjoy themselves and Sir states to change fate. You must do something unexpected and impulsive that you would not typically do while their happiness continues, aka your members of the first phase are about to finish. As a result, they plod back as Sir proclaims that life is unreal. Don't let that happen. Mitsuki leads Aki back to the class with the instructor, arrives, and begins to teach, Sonu smiling with joy. Suddenly, Mitsuki discovers a pillow on the floor, and as she takes it up, all hell breaks free, and her classmates are mercilessly shot. Everyone dies, including Aoki, and Mitsuki raises her head to see the teacher fire a little gun. Tako and Sir arrive to her aid and take refuge in another class. Unfortunately, when the instructor appears with an assault weapon, she murders a pupil, and Tako attempts to stop her as an act of bravery. Unfortunately, the heartless woman murders her by shooting Tako's hand off. The bullets immediately blast away part of her face, and she dies. And has worked tirelessly to preserve Mitsuki. Sir is also slain while attempting to exit the room. She clutches Mitsuki in her arms and screams that life is strange and she must not allow it to overwhelm her. Mitsuki is on the run again as the final deadly gunshot strikes her. The school has devolved into a hellhole, with teachers firing shots into the crowds of pupils. They flee into the fields, while another group follows Mitsuki, who says it's all over. Things is her responsibility to find things out. Fortunately, just as they leave the school grounds, the wind catches up with them and slices everyone but Mitsuki. Traumatized and distressed, she flees for eons until she reaches an all-female metropolis. Mitsuki tries to describe the horror to her, but the policewoman's face lights up with recognition when she refers to Mitsuki as Keiko. With one look in the mirror, she realizes that her face and hairstyle have altered and that she is truly Keiko. The officer then drives her to another location where scores of ladies greet them joyfully. When she goes inside, she realizes it's someone's wedding in the thick of the crowd, and she becomes achy. I'm in front of the mirror. Keiko tries to communicate to Aka, whispering that she understands everything and that everything would be okay. It will be discussed later, but for now, Mitsuki must prepare for her own wedding. But just as the hairdryer blows, Keiko has a flashback from the fatal air and falls down screaming in terror. The women on either side quickly pick her up and present her with the wedding gown due to her mental disturbance. Aki gives one hint that she is both Mitsuki and Keiko, but she must not panic for now. Keiko dresses herself up with the garment and a vision of Sir standing amidst the flutter of feathers flashes before her as comfort. Who is it who says that life is surreal? Don't let it bother you. Aka prepares her in the meantime, and as the women crowd around the bride, Aka begins murdering them one by one. As the cruelty stops, she snaps their bones and murders them cruelly. Aka asked Keiko to continue with her wedding while handing her a shattered glass. Fight for your life. Keiko enters the hall, confused and perplexed, where the women greet her, Mary Lee. Then a few steps down the aisle, they start trash talking and tossing at her. As the women remove their clothing to stand in their underwear, the scene shifts from serene to confrontational. They drag her to the stage, where the pianist reveals her fiancé to be a horrifically smelling, nasty-looking boarhead. Last minute, the boarhead singly as Keiko shrieks. The corridor. The audience begs her to kiss the hideous beast, but she instead thrusts the shard into his neck as the filthy beast bleeds out. The crowd thins out, and Keiko finally notices Aki. She pushes Keiko to leave as their two professors appear on the scene. A spectacular battle breaks out between them now dressed in black leather outfits, and the teachers are knocked unconscious by the females. The women and Aki have now fled the site. Kay Bridges. Run for her life in her bridal gown. She walks across a bridge, where another lady greets her and inquires about her location under a different name. Azumi. Keiko. When she looks in the mirror and sees herself as a marathon runner, her wedding gown has vanished and her face has altered. Her friends welcome her and encourage her to keep going. The race begins with the group of 4 running while the audience cheers. As the group sprints, Azumi flashes back to her younger self overtaking the other runners in the relay race. Furthermore, when Azumi tries to overtake the other competitors, numerous additional memories of herself jogging with her pals pass across her head. Sir and Tako walk up to her. Aki comes unexpectedly, and we turn to see them both. Teachers assigned to the dull-headed individual. As the assailants close in, Aki pushes her to run faster and concentrate. With a quick pace, one of her pals persuaded her to go over the fence on the side to leave this world. Azumi obeys the directions and races through the woods until she reaches a large cave. As she looks around, a girl in the uniform emerges and takes her into the darkness where Azumi is. Dozens of other uniformed females bent their heads downward. The girl who brought her here is in a trance and blames her for all the atrocities and misery being perpetrated on them. She then says that Azumi must die in order to carry it out. She grabs a sword and attempts to kill her, but Aki comes just in time to rescue Azumi. Aki forces Azumi to shout her true name again after murdering her and flees the scene. She pushes her to yell the statement. Masuki says, "I'm Masuki," and we see that Azumi has died and Masuki has reverted to her normal condition. After learning this, Aki suggests that Mitsuki tear off the wires and insert an Archie in order to leave this reality that they've been purposely placed in. And she'll be able to enter the masculine realm knowing that her pal will perish. She carefully extracts the wires from the tears and rips Archie flush with a powerful tug. We saw her body torn into 2 parts and a lighted gateway behind her is revealed with caution. Mitsuki walks through the door to discover herself in a kitchen full of males. She comes out onto the street, expecting to see a male-dominated society, but her gaze is drawn to a billboard of herself. Keiko and Azumi, who are being sneered at by random males while she looks at it. As she looks at it in astonishment, the headliner announces, "The legendary game is back tag, now in 3D. A man emerges from the bag. 3D Mitsuki is perplexed when she sees herself as the main character in the game, and the elderly man plays her through school, the wedding ceremony, and the marathon. The elderly guy tells her that she died a long time ago, but her DNA was taken and transformed into a 3D game. Furthermore, her pals were kidnapped, prompting Mitsuki to examine the glass box within which she discovers her numerous forms, as well as Araki entirely filled. As the truth of her fate dawns on her, the elderly guy begins to chuckle at her fate and how her DNA is just utilized for their enjoyment. Meanwhile, the street person arrives and undresses himself. He lays on the bed and motions for Mitsuki to join him, while she watches in bewilderment, and the elderly guy cheers. His last request has now been granted. She limps to the bed, helpless and vulnerable, and examines the pillow. She lies down beside him slowly, but suddenly Sir's words ring in her ears, and her vision snatches the manifestation from the water, where her blood droplet from her finger becomes the feather blood. She overcomes the man and tries to strangle him when her head snaps her out of her daze. After repeatedly hitting the gentleman with the pillow, we see their feathers turn red. Mitsuki approaches the old man, steals his stick, and impales herself with its point. Red feathers explode from her body as she dies, leaving the elderly man wailing in agony. Following the catastrophe, the film progresses until his dying moments, in which we see recurring scenes from his history. This time is different. In every scenario, Mitsuki kills herself first. She kills herself on the bus with a pen in the wedding. She kills herself by impaling herself with a shattered bottle, and Azumi also dies on the racetrack. Following that, we observe Mitsuki resting in an open snowfield. She stands up and walks away with one final sentence.